Welcome to IVSA Chart Analytics, your best signals stock market indicators. IVSA Chart Indicators is based on the time-proven Wyckoff-Williams volume spread analysis. It tells you when you should be in and when you should stay out. No more second guessing. It features a stock screener that allows you to follow the smart money. You virtually get in before the public does. Profit with the smart money. Simple, accurate, and available on desktop and mobile devices. Test drive our IVSA chart now.
Thank you, Studio B. Hello and welcome to the all-new stock review with me, Trishna Patel. We will be looking at the stocks covered in corporate profile, as well as stocks that made the news this past week. And I have JC here from TradersTruthRevealed.com who will help you understand these stocks from a technical standpoint. So thank you, JC, for joining us today.
Thanks, Trus, and it's great to be back here, and I'm happy to assist you all in the stock review for the corporate profile.
Now, shall we start off with Madonna Petroleum?
Sure, why not?
Perdana is losing its Sharia compliance status in November this year, which brings forth the question, will major shareholder Lembaga Tabung Haji pull out its investments? LTH currently has about 8.6% stake, and if this happens, what would it mean for shareholders?
That's a very interesting question. As you can see, much of the news has already been priced in earlier on. As early back in March 2014, there were lots of accumulation happening, and you can see from the chart, which is the green up arrow, as early in April up to May, there were a lot of accumulation, and this denotes the sign of strength. So when you have sign of strength, we expect the market to go higher. Now, what is sign of strength? Now, sign of strength is a situation where the demand overcomes supply. So we were expecting the market to go higher, but it did not. Instead, in May, the smart money came in and began to sell down this news up to mid-May, and perhaps the investment axiom sell and May and go away. But let's not forget, precisely in mid-May, the market made a reverse turn, and that was what we call a selling climax with a high volume in mid-May. And after that, the market began to turn back up, as you can see from the rest of the market denoted by the green arrow sign. There are a lot of tussle between bears and bull, and that seems to be showing in the chart. That's why we see lots of green on the support at 1 ringgit 75 cent and 1 ringgit 85 cent. What is more important now, as early as in early July or end June, we see finally Perdana Petroleum break above the 50-day moving average, and since then has been hovering up. So right now we have a lot of green arrow, and that's showing lots of sign of strength, and it probably take lots of good news to break above the 2 ringgit mark.
And if a mandatory general offer is triggered, would it be a catalyst for higher stock price, or will it drag down share down?
Now, remember the Dayang, which holds about the 26% of Perdana Petroleum. So the MGO, which in this case called the mandatory general offer, then it has to probably push the price higher. Now remember, the main beneficiary in this case is still the oil and gas. As long as Petronas is still dishing out that lucrative deals out going to a lot of the oil and gas players like Perdana as well as Dayang. So I still believe there's a lot of upside. So at current prices and looking at the charts that you see with a lot of green arrow, that's strength in the background.
Thank you, JC. Now, shall we move on to Bstead Plantation? How has the stock been doing since its listing in June this year?
Now, looking at Bstead, it hasn't done much since listed in June. Market has really been just moving sideways, supported at 160. But what's very interesting is before the breakup to the 170, you can see there was a move engineered just to short out or wash out what we call the weak hand dealer. In this case, it did. It break up and then finally came back down. But what you should know is on my next chart is what's happening in here is the overall trend of CPO prices. Now remember, the Bstead Plantation is a palm oil, and CPO prices has been losing sight, so almost down 40% since March 2014, and that's the real main concern here.
The company is sitting on deeply valued land. Its land has a property development potential is valued at around 2.96 billion ringgit, which is higher than its current market capital of approximately 2.5 billion ringgit. Now, would you say that Maybank IB's target price of 2 ringgit and 16 cent is justifiable?
Now, that's a very interesting question again. Now, remember, price is what you pay for, value is what you get. Now, a lot of time, a lot of projection has been put on. This case was 2 ringgit and 16 cent for Bstead plantation. But what you need to understand is the cash flows. Land is no good unless you produce cash flow out from it. Now again, the same problem what we have for plantation stock is because of the current bumper year harvest that we're seeing in US. Soybean prices are dipping lower because of higher supply, and that will play a lot of pressure on plantation stocks, in this case Bstead, to prevent it to go higher.
And we also looked into Taliworks Corporation. Taliworks broke above its long-term downtrend line at 90 cents. And then on the 7th of August, it broke above its triangle at 1 ringgit and 25 cents and rallied onto an intraday high of 1 ringgit and 50 cents. Now, could this bullish breakout signal the start of Taliworks' up leg?
Well, it's really possible. Now, there hasn't been any significant news. If you look back at the chart that we see in here, there was still, since March 2014, there were a couple of green arrows in here, so that denotes some activity of smart money operation, but not until end of August, where there were subsequently news about new business venture, Taliworks, together with EPF, and that you could see the tremendous volume that came in the beginning of March and up to mid-August, that subsequently brought the price up to almost touching 1 ringgit 50 cent before we see a pullback now.
And how has the stocks fared in the past 18 months?
Now, if you look back at the stocks we see here, if you look back at the stocks that we see here, you could see there wasn't any interest until we get some time in beginning of June. There was a buy call denoted by the green arrow there, B, and another one just recently, I think about last week. But at the same time, there was also a so-called hold recommendation. Subsequently, that's what you see a volatility of the market in there, between 150 wanting to go higher and another one wanting to sell because of the hold recommendation. And since then, this is going to be a tussle fighting between bear and also bull play in the market. But going forward with the steady cash flow which is generated from this new business, which is a toll operation, I believe Taliworks will benefit from a steady cash flow, which in the past we have not seen a big movement on the stock price.
So Jersey, any projections for the next 3 months?
I believe the market will still hover around the 140 and 150 in here. So what we need to see perhaps is more green up arrow, sign of accumulation from the smart money operator.
Now, shall we move on to Guocold and Berhad? We saw several investment merits to investing in Guocold. It is linked to the Hong Leong Group. It has a large land bank that was acquired at low price, and it is attractively valued with potential upside of 67%. So JC, what should investors be looking at right now?
Now again, before we go to the future, let's look at what has the smart money done in the past. Now, as early as March 2014, that's where the chart is, we've been seeing lots of accumulations, okay, in April and then in June, and then finally a little bit of volume coming up in mid-July 2014, but not until we saw the final push in August 2014, where the market actually make a significant run from 1 ringgit 20 cents to 1 ringgit 80 cents, and a little bit of pullback. That tells you this long accumulation by smart money operator is very, very intense, and this is a lot got to do with the property development, which Guocold has claimed to have a big land bank just behind Echo World. So going forward, this is going to be very positive for Guocold if they can develop some of these property and further turn it into cash flows.
Now, if it can stay above the 1 ringgit and 94 cent level, could the stock's uptrend continue?
Very likely. Very important now what we're seeing here. You could see on the Bloomberg research on the right side. Now, prior to what we have now in August 2014, we have a lot of buy recommendation, which is denoted by the green B character that you see sometime in December last year, and as well as also in March 2014. So that tells smart money already been accumulating. But now, as recent in August, there were already a sell recommendation as well as a hold recommendation reclamation denoted by the S down arrow. That's a sell reclamation. So there's a lot of pressure for retailer to actually sell it. Now going forward again, that's going to depend much on the cash flow that the company can generate, as well as increasing earnings per share as well as sales.
Okay, so now I found Sona Petroleum Berhad to be quite interesting. Sona saw its net loss widen to more than 9 million ringgit in the first half of this financial year, from 763,000 just the year before. And it can only start generating income after completing its qualifying acquisitions. So for the time being, it is generating income mostly from interest and profits from fixed deposits. Now, how would you say the company was doing?
Well, if you look at it, very interestingly, the first half of 2014, there was a significant loss. So that result came out. So you can see from the chart, subsequently, a few days before June, there was a down arrow that tells you sign of weakness. But of course, at the same time, smart money are very smart. They intend to push it higher to distribute it to the unsuspected investor or retailer. And when the news is out, in this case, people intend to sell. And that's why beginning of June 2004, we saw that selling just pushes it down to right to 48 cents. And right at 48 cents, we saw a diminishing volume that begins the accumulation. Now remember, market tends to move between bears and bull accumulation between distribution. If there's no significant news in this Sona, right, then the market will tend to move sideways. But we do know there was a loss announced in first half of 2014, and since then they are anticipating some news, perhaps the market really moving up there. But as soon as it hit the 54 cents level, then you see some red arrow. That's also another sign of weakness, meaning weakness are coming in, smart money are beginning to sell.
So what should investors be doing? Should they wait until Sona starts turning in a profit before investing?
Now, in the IVSA chart, which is available from our website in here, ivsa.com, what we do is we tell investors as well as retailer to look for sign of strength. Now, sign of strength is again is a situation where we see demand exceeding supply, and it's a situation where smart money beginning to accumulate and thus able to push the price higher. So first thing you do, look for evidence of accumulation by smart money.
Now, another one that I found interesting was Tiong Nam Logistics Holdings Berhad. It also saw a drop in profits. The first quarter financial year 14 net profits decreased 14% from 13 million from 15 million a year ago. And in a filing to Bursa, the group attributed the progress of its construction projects as being the main cause for the drops in net profits. And specifically, it named the Tiong Nam Industrial Park 2 in Shah Alam, as well as the Tiong Nam Business Park in Nusa Jaya, Johor Bahru. Now, should investors hold off on Tiong Nam for the time being?
Now, remember, Tiong Nam Logistics is a dual play theme here. Meaning it has a bit on property, it has a bit on logistic. Now, these two represent great growth. If you ever want a growth stock, this is as good as you can get. However, Tiong Nam, all the good news has already been out there, and you also got a bit of drop in the revenue. However, that doesn't tell you the stock is going to go down, which means potentially upside, maybe little. But what we can see from a chart, signified by my two horizontal line that you see in here, smart money are definitely accumulating at 1 ringgit 30 cents. So for this to push higher, I would like to see more smart money pushing it and perhaps breaking $1.40 before I'm more convinced that this market can go higher.
But it also reported higher revenue for the first quarter on the back of new logistic clients, higher transportation charge rates, and higher rental rates for its warehouses. Now, what should sideline investors be doing right now?
Now, bearing on the Tiong Nam Logistics, I do believe Tiong Nam doesn't pay a very high dividend. I think they should just stay out and perhaps sit side and look for sign of strength, in this case accumulation. I normally advise retailer to buy certain stock when they pay a decent dividend. So meanwhile, you're accumulating the stocks, at least you get paid for dividend, and that's the best way to move forward.
Thanks, JC. And last week, you picked Pohuat Resources Berhad as the hot stock. So, how has it been doing since then?
Now, if you look at Pohuat since last week, the market did significantly push higher. It actually tested 1 ringgit 40 cents. And of course, every time when a new high is made, profit taking comes into the picture. Currently, the market is still holding above RM1.35. But going forward and judging that the sign of strength that you see on the left hand side, lots of green arrow, that subsequently means smart money are accumulating, and perhaps a push to 145 will happen very, very soon.
So JC, since I have you here, what are the hot stock for this week?
Now this week, the pick for the week that I have is also another property player called GOB, or better known as Global Oriental Berhad. Very nice one in here. It had a base building around 1 ringgit to 1 ringgit 05 cents, you can see from the chart. And what I look for is my green arrow sign of strength in here. Yes, on the middle of the chart, you also see some red arrow, but what's more important, when you see weakness, the market does not go down. That tells you there are a lot of strength in the background. And then finally, we just had a break on the right side of the chart, breaking above 115. So we are seeing a beginning of a markup of a stage 2 and perhaps retesting the old high at 120 and 125 cents. This is going to be positive, and we will come back and review this next week.
Thanks JC for your insights. That's all the time we have for today, but stay tuned next week for more stock review. Back to you, Studio B.